Hello, everybody, and welcome yet again to another rendition of Apex After Hours live from Chicago. I'm going to miss this, like the whole year right next to me. We're like awkwardly rubbing shoulders, but it's okay. It's worth it because the last time we did this was actually a banger, ended up being a vibe. We got to like read chat, hang out with y'all. We're excited to do it again, and a big thank you everyone for watching and supporting. The last episode we did live from Chicago, kind of special episode, went insane on YouTube. So a big thank you to everyone that supported. Awesome. And not only that, was that episode a good time. This past weekend in Chicago was a good time. I'm glad you came. A lot of good times were had, to say the least.
I need sleep. It's been a long week for sure. So it's been fun. You got another trip coming up right after this. You're heading to Boston. So
yep. Got a weekend in Boston for a wedding. I think it was Dave or someone in chat was like, the reason Snipe is still in Chicago a week later is because he can't get enough Portillo's meat. I think you're officially over Portillo's.
Love the meat. You heard it.
Yeah, he loves the meat. Big fan of Portillo's meat. 3 Portillo's runs, 1 Al's Beef run. We definitely hit Lil Malnati's. A couple hot dogs.
Any Giordano's next time.
Giordano's. We went to a Michelin star restaurant, which was insane.
Yeah, Esme.
Shout to Jonathan Nesbitt, for the legend in the community. That was awesome. And we had a lot of fun with Hal, and I think Hal needed it. We all needed it. It was a good time.
Yeah, I think it was a nice, refreshing weekend. I don't think any of us were kind of expecting to go as hard as we did, but it was a great time and brought back the Grease vibes, the squad, and I think we were all kind of like a little ready to get back into the grind, but it was an unforgettable weekend for sure.
Yeah, we're excited to get back to the grind for sure. It's been awesome seeing Apex After Hours. This is the most consistent we've ever been with the show. You guys are fueling that, so thank you again. The fact that YouTube is doing so well, and the comments, like we read all the comments, guys. You have no idea, like they mean the world. The Twitch chat that's bumping right now, the feedback y'all have given, thank you. It's fueling us and the team. Shout out to Chrono, who is absolutely carrying right now, being our producer, Bella as well. And a big thank you to every single one of y'all for watching. And of course, a lot to discuss today in terms of agenda. Let's quickly break down what we'll be talking through today. First things first, all things roster mania, which continues. I thought after Pro League, the first roster lock, things would chill for a little while, but after 2, maybe 3 days of Pro League, it's back. Roster Mania hit hard. DSG, big changes, shake up with Moist, and then the return of Snipedown to competitive Apex. Are you kidding? Did you wake up this morning and think there was a world where that was going to happen?
Not a shot, literally like 0%. I had already like kind of turned down some offers, and I was just like,
some good ones too. He's told me about the offer.
Yeah, I mean there's some decent offers, and it just kind of, I don't know, like I love the native team. I'm friends with a lot of people who are at the organization, and I've had success with zone teams in the past. Very down-to-earth squad, and it was just kind of one of those where it's like, you know what? Why the hell not? And I'm excited. Unfortunately, I'm going to be missing scrims tomorrow because I'm going to be flying home, but I'm excited to put my head down, work with these guys. I think it's going to be a great environment overall, and I think we can grow quickly. So
we'll definitely be talking about that in much more depth. I will share some thoughts and takes, and obviously get his perspective. They just got done scrimming. You guys had a chance to maybe watch. Was Arcan or Rambo streaming?
I think Rambo might have been.
Okay, so you guys got to see some of that yourselves, and then we'll obviously break it down. And I'm excited to kind of understand like why did McLovin leave? McLovin obviously rejoins Eternal EC, I believe, his former roster. Obviously, some thoughts there, and then of course get your takes. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll shift over. Obviously, mentioned we'll talk about enemy DSG, some of enemy's thoughts. We'll actually break down a couple clips, or at least a clip of enemy sharing some thoughts on why Timmy made the decision. You guys probably saw the Designful tweet, which I think was classy and respectful, giving Timmy some of his roses. So did enemy, but still a lot to talk about in that story. And Moist looked good in scrims today. I think at least one of the games they popped off.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're going to talk about this guy's DSG situation, but I think Timmy, I think it was pretty clear that the roster wasn't entirely happy together. There was, I wouldn't say like animosity. I think it was just more like burnout of just the environment in general. I don't want to say that was like the full factor, but I mean, there's no way around it. It definitely played a part. And, like I said, it's all fun and games when you're doing really well, but it's tough when you are not performing after you had just succeeded at back-to-back tournaments. It just started off Pro League pretty much in dead last after 2 weeks. It is really tough. So I think for Timmy, a change up in environment and an opening on a team like Moist, regardless of those two teams being relatively close in Pro League standings. I think, Moist only has 10 points after 2 weeks. DSG had 2 points after 2 weeks. So like maybe it was either DSG or Elevate that had 2 points. One of them had two, one of them had 4. But overall, I think like it's a huge plus for Timmy to go join a roster where the vibes are going to be, you know, really solid. I think the whole team is. I think the Moist situation, I think they were going through some stuff, and MT, you know, pulling himself back and deciding like, hey, like I want to take myself out of this for the greater good of like my roster and my friends is a very professional move out of him. And that's, you know, that's something that's kind of rare. A lot of people would continue pushing on to either collect a salary or whatever it is. And picking up Timmy, I mean, Timmy's a phenomenal player. It fills that M&K role. He's had a good time co-IGLing, and, you know, they've been working with MT for so long. So I feel like, you know, Walty will be able to step up. Timmy's going to be able to step up, and the vibes on that team are going to be strong. And that's a really good foundation to begin a roster like that.
And MT as coach obviously knows, you know, this roster inside and out. It's always a good thing when a player who knows the game really, really well steps into that coach role. I think he'll have a tremendous impact too. So I think that's a big W for the Moist teams. Yeah, we'll break that down a little bit more. We'll show you actually some clips and details from Enemy's tweet, as I mentioned. We'll talk about some kind of notable other roster changes just to keep everyone up to speed from the rest of ALGS. And then I won't go too deep there, but we'll at least mention it. And we definitely want to give some respect to other regions. And then we'll do a quick recap of ALGS Pro League this last weekend because we didn't do an after hours on Sunday. Trust me, we thought about it. We were this close. We were like, you know, Hal was down, Pete was down to do like a live show, kind of like this vibe. We were freaking exhausted on Sunday night, so it did not happen. But what we did do, for those that did not see, first off, all weekend long we were trying to post content so you guys could, you know, hang out with us and see the vibes with the boys for the weekend. So I hope that was enjoyable without being like obnoxious or overwhelming. But we did host our first ever after hours meetup, which was like a test to see, is there interest in the community meeting for like an after hours Apex Legends community party social meetup. Flip Cup was had. This guy got smoked in Flip Cup.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Hal played Flip Cup for the first time ever, was ass, and he still lost.
I drafted wrong. If we had replays, Hal was at the end of the table, and I had about 3 teammates that needed to flip cups. It got to me, one flip, and at least I got to talk shit to him. So I mean, that was a win in my book.
Yeah, this guy, he's the only guy that takes wins because he individually performed well while leading his team.
As long as I'm the one standing out, you know what I'm saying?
Terrible fucking lead. Terrible. That's why he was never leader straight ripping. It all makes sense.
I was hyping my team up until, you know, it went really downhill really fast.
Right.
But...
Yeah, clearly. And people almost ripped my throat out because we started the game without him, and he wanted to enter mid-game, which you can't do.
So mad, dude.
He was really freaking mad. Yeah. As he was recapping the weekend, he was like, perfect weekend except that. And he said one other thing. I can't remember what it was. He'd drive me crazy. Yeah. We played Survivor Flip Cup. One's in the chat if you've heard of Survivor Flip Cup. It's a twist on it. You have to vote someone off your team every round you lose until there's one people remaining or no people remaining. That's the best version of it. That's not what we're here to talk about, but yes, the Apex After Hours first ever meetup was awesome. Chrono, if you can send me the graphic, I want to show that on the screen too, just to give you.
I'm about to literally go get it.
Go get it. Please do. Hold on. This thing was so sick. Last minute, Chrono cooked up this idea. This is what he does. He cooks up these ideas. He cooked up this idea to do like a poster, and we spent like $150 on posters, like high quality posters to sign and leave for people, which looked really, it looks so good. Look at this thing. Tell me that's not fire. Back up a little bit. Tell me that's not fire. It's so sick. Should we give some of these on stream? Or
we did get them signed for people, so like we kind of want to do some giveaways in this for some people that might support us. You know, a couple ways that we're making that work.
Yeah, that's right. We can. Yeah, so maybe we'll do like some giveaways in the YouTube video. Potentially, we'll announce on Twitter if we do a giveaway for the YouTube video or on Twitter. Boofalumpa said you look like a boy band. We do look like a band.
I'm the lead singer.
You're not the lead singer. Literally, the guy with the microphone in the front with the sport jacket is the lead singer. You're the one that everyone wants to date because you look like a tool. Who was it on Twitter or someone in person that was really mad?
I think he got wet hair, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
someone was so angry that he's like, why does he have wet hair and why is he looking like this?
I'm casting my spell.
Yeah, clearly.
I'm using my mind powers.
Like the mysterious guy. Yeah, he's the mysterious guy in the band. Definitely the bad boy of the band, but I'm the lead singer. Not even a question. Emo Snipe, yeah, that's right. That's straight out of the shower. Exactly. Why is he out of the shower taking a photo shoot? Did you, be honest, think back to that photo shoot. Did you wet your hair for that picture?
I did, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I was told to.
Yeah, I do.
I was told to. Because I took a lot of like dry shots, and then it was like, we need to get like a grungy shot, like a...
That's the most I was thinking of ever. That's actually a good picture.
That's a fucking good photo. I don't care what you say. That's a good photo.
All right, one's in the chat if it's a good photo. Two, if it's too extreme, too far, and no.
That's a good photo.
And let us know in the YouTube comments as well. Everyone's saying one.
It's a good photo. I don't care what you said. Look at this shit, bro. I look fire.
Of course, your entire stream will say one.
You just tried to turn them against me, and I'll just let you know right now.
Team tool bag over here. Twos.
Maybe we should rearrange this. You look like the guy in the show who's like calling us out on stage. You're not even a part of the group. You got your little mic in the corner.
You're right, actually, about that. Maybe I need to look more badass. Get on your level. Apparently, your whole fucking chat agrees. All right, yeah. After Hours Party was great. Also, let us know in the comments. Like, we want to maybe like do more of them. Maybe the next one in Austin. Obviously, you guys.
That'd be sick. There's a lot of other people out in Austin, so we could do a little get together. And I mean, yeah, we have a ton of Apex players out there, and we had a really good time. At first, it was draining. I mean, it was a lot to handle. Just because it was nonstop.
We gave ourselves. It was nonstop, and
there was a ton of there were some people that drove 5 hours to come to it. So I mean, we wanted to obviously hang out and show a lot of appreciation. I think it went from like 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. somewhere around there. So I mean, it was a long night. But we had a blast, and I mean, if we do this in Austin, like I mean, we would have to get a bigger freaking venue because especially if we get a bunch of other pros to go and show up for 2 hours, I watch this stuff, and I think people would be driving from San Antonio, they'd be driving from Dallas, they'd be driving from Houston. Like people would really make that trip.
We could sell like a auditorium type shit.
We could probably sell like 200 tickets.
It's crazy.
I think.
All right, let us know. Maybe Austin, Texas. Let us know what other cities. Yeah, maybe we're just going on a world tour. Boston, DC, Seattle, LA. We're skipping LA. We already did that. Let us know if you guys want us to continue doing those. But then the idea is like, how we did the after hours live from London, live from Birmingham, which was like just us investing a lot of money to get there and doing it because we thought it was awesome for the community. But maybe we can do that, and while we're live, we actually do a live event, which would be awesome, and then we can hang out with people after the show. Yeah, so all types of ideas that are stemming from the live event that we did. So thank you for that. With that said, we digress. We've digressed a little too much. Let's jump back into the discussion here. First things first, roster mania, disguised in a wild, out of nowhere, no one would have expected a decision from Timmy. Very decisive decision, which I respect from him, to leave disguised after Designful trialed with TSM, turned down the TSM trial. And I can confirm, because Verholst confirmed it live on After Hours last weekend, TSM would have continued trialing and wanted to keep playing with Designful. So he on his own made the decision to go back. Obviously, it wasn't going great, but they wanted to keep playing with him and trying it out. He on his own went back to Disguise, showed loyalty just for Timmy to leave 2 weeks later. And there's a lot of sentiment right now, and I'll just kind of start with my thoughts at least. A lot of sentiment of like, Timmy's a rat or a snake, or how could he do that? How could he abandon his guys? I mean, I disagree with those personally and wholeheartedly. And, clearly the fact that Enemy and Designful have both tweeted and given roses, they don't feel some type of way, so they agree. Look, at the end of the day, the roster was going through struggles, and this is a business at the end of the day. Timmy wants to be on one of the best teams in the game. And do you all realize, like, the opportunity to play with Waltzy and Gildersons, two of the top, arguably at one point certainly were two of the top 5 controller players in the game, might still be, with how good they are. That is an insane opportunity. You can't turn that down. And if you're friends and boys with Timmy, you're just happy for him, which is what was the case for Design and Enemy. And if they feel that way, then everyone else should feel that way. So do you think it was a snaky move at all in your eyes? I don't think
it was snaky. I think it was abrupt. Like we don't know what happened behind the scenes. I mean, there's a couple of things in this article that we want to bring up. Enemy talks about maybe some team comp issues, and they kind of scraped by at the last event. But whenever they get to that finals lobby, I mean, they've performed. They've been one team fight away from winning 2 events. They obviously have like a high ceiling of what they can do. But I think at the end of the day, like, no one has bad blood with Timmy at all, and they know that he made a decision that he feels is strong for himself, and you can't blame him with the consistency that the Moist roster has shown. I do think for Design specifically, this is like, he's messaged me, and like we wanted him to come on the show and possibly, and he's been great on the show before. And he even said, like, I'm not in the right state of mind. Like, I'm still very emotional. And it's, it sucks when a friend, someone that you really accomplished a lot with and you considered, and they even talked about how important, that teaming was and how Timmy pulled Design out of a spot. I think this is going to be an eye-opening experience for Design and a really big time of like personal growth. Yeah. To look back at all this and think like, man, we had something great. Like where did things maybe go wrong, and kind of just growing as an individual person. I think he did grow on the roster. You know, we saw him with his old roster with like Gent and Resulta, and with this roster. But I do think that maybe he was still a little stubborn in certain categories that could have caused some conflict, and we don't know how much that was brought up by the teammates. But being the IGL, you have to take your teammates into consideration and at least like attempt to hear them out, and maybe like even if it doesn't feel good, like attempt try some different comps, because in this article with Enemy, you know, he talks a lot about the Wraith and how they weren't playing Bangalore and it was kind of a cop out, and it just felt like, you know, it's an Enemy right here. His design was one-tricking a character instead of learning. He's not blaming him. Just like, you know, it just all felt like they weren't as passionate as a group. They could just tell that things were going well. And I think you can kind of compare this like a little bit to not like how they handled their teammates, but being stubborn with the Zach situation of like Zach not leaving the POI, even though all of his teammates didn't want to be a part of it, and it caused like turmoil within the roster. And I think when people don't feel heard within a team, it just creates that like lack of energy to full commit with that roster, because it just feels like maybe there's like animosity or whatever it is. But I really hope that both these rosters, you know, can find some grounding. I think Moist is going to turn out a lot stronger than the Disguise roster. But I hope to see the Disguise roster absolutely turn around. You know, they're pretty much qualified for champs. They qualified for EWC. So I think, you know, as I hope that they're willing to grow and that burnout can that passion can be reignited, because, you know, it's fun to root for a team like that when they are that passionate. Like Designs, you know, he got haters, he's got people who love him, and I think it's just fun to see people that are super, super passionate in the game.
And any POV on who Disguise are playing with?
They're playing with Zanile. Yeah, I think it was confirmed that they're playing with Zanile. I mean, roster like pretty much had to happen. Like all this went down, a bunch of teams started shifting it, and they're playing with Zanile, and it's a solid pick as a comfort pick with him and Enemy having teamed in the past before.
When did they team together? They were not Oxygen together.
Oh my gosh,
I'm trying to remember. Blank. You said that earlier, but I can't remember when they teamed together. Someone correct us in chat. Sorry for the ignorance here. I used to be the Apex Legends encyclopedia. I prided myself in that, but now that I'm not casting LGS,
it had to be like Sentinel or something, right? Was Oxygen? Was it?
It was Oxygen? That was Oxygen. But nonetheless, that's what you heard. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of a good comfort pick for sure. I mean, Matt, that's an interesting pickup for sure. I mean, Zanile is proven to be a good player.
Tech was Zanile Pont, that he was just playing on a separate name. To clear that up, he was kind of trolling. Sorry, go ahead.
Got it. He was actually for a little bit. Oh, thank you, Sibian. Yeah, interesting stuff. Okay, so yeah, certainly a comfort pick. Obviously an MNK replacement. Someone that could come in, Designful can continue to IGL and lead. That's interesting. And I wanted to, you know, but let me ask you, like, Zanile for Timmy, Zanile, Enemy, and Designful, given everything you're reading here and what you know about Disguise, do you think Disguise is chalked? Or do you think they have what it takes to return back to being a top 5, top 17?
I mean, I think they need to get rid of
pro land placement.
I think they need to get rid of Wraith. I really do. I just don't think in this meta Wraith is that great. I think it just has been proven to be like more of a, like, I don't know the reasoning behind it. I would love to hear the reasoning behind it. I just think the meta's really different right now. But I think with the time that they had to make the decision, I think Zanile, I played with Zanile. Zanile puts in the work, man. He practices nonstop. He trains all the time, and they're looking for someone that's very passionate. So picking up someone on very short notice that has like a history with one of your teammates is a comfort pick. And maybe, if Enemy was feeling a certain way about this Disguise roster, then maybe it can help reignite that passion playing with someone that you consider a good friend and someone that you have that history with. And it's kind of like, if he's working hard, I want to work hard. Kind of like, how I am with you in a sense, where it's like, if you're surrounding yourself with people who work really hard and you're all, focused on that same goal, like, you don't want to be the one to let down the group. So I think, their pro league season is kind of chalked. It would take a miracle for them to really work their way back up to make this next land. But, never say never. We see some crazy stories.
They've definitely qualified for champs, right? With the top 5.
Definitely qualified for champs and qualified for EWC. So, I mean, they have 2 lands guaranteed, and they have the rest of this pro league. And, if they like what they're doing and like how the team's going, then they have a lot of time before, EWC and these really big events to put it together.
Yeah, I see a lot of folks in chat agreeing with you on the Wraith piece. And, let's quickly just walk through this thread. Shot, by the way, to SJXSJXSJX. That was a tongue twister, and I nailed it. For posting this summary, everyone on Comp Apex Reddit that posts great summaries, great content. We appreciate y'all. But again, They had a long conversation after Pro League Day. Timmy had a lot of personal issues. I noticed that was something that was mentioned. I actually wasn't aware of that. I don't know if anyone has any details behind that, but that was an interesting bullet point.
Personal.
Exactly. That's right. If we won't get into that. Not getting paid on Disguise. That was news to me. I didn't know that Timmy did not take a paycheck from the Disguise roster.
He technically had a paycheck, but he gave it to his teammates because he was already so I mean, that was
what a hero
thing from him. But when you're not performing and then, things aren't going well, it's like, well, I'm not getting paid for this. Like, why am I kind of putting up with it in a sense? So, I mean, I can get, if that was going through his head, I don't know if it was, but I mean, I get it.
That is interesting. That's a crazy note. It says a lot about Timmy.
He's a great guy.
Timmy is a great guy. One of the greatest. Timmy didn't see a future of team quality increasing to where it should be to start winning LAN, which is valid given how they performed the first two Pro League days, but is interesting because
I don't agree with that.
They showed performance on LAN. Right?
I don't agree with that. That's the one thing in here that I don't really agree. You were one team fight away from winning 2 different LANs. And regardless of the path to get there, like, you were there. I mean, it's not always an easy path, but you've had the adversity and you showed that you were good enough to win LAN. So you're having a bad split, but maybe if you can get off the characters and you're having those issues, like, you had a lot of time to work it out. So I mean, that's the one thing where if that was the case, I feel like that's kind of a cop out in a sense. But I mean, if you feel that way, you feel that way.
Which by the way, everyone's jumping on the Wise Design playing Wraith hate train, which I agree with. He should not be playing Wraith, especially in Pro League. But Wraith picks on LAN work better in on LAN where end games are more stacked with people. Wraith rotates become more useful, and Wraith is better in those scenarios. But I completely agree with that said. You disagree with that?
No, I got a couple points on that though. Actually, so the meta change that happened with Evos, all that stuff, like a very big meta change that happened in the game, and then not to mention on LAN. Personally, LAN making it to final, LAN is easier, I think, than North American Pro League because I just think the overall competition is lower in group stages at LAN than it is group stages in North American Pro League. I just think the North American skill is higher than the world in those same sections. So I think that they should have had an easier way to make it to the finals, and they're seeing how much the struggle.
They performed in the finals,
which is great. Which is
with Wraith.
Those teams, which is weird that they kind of struggled
in the group stages, exactly.
But overall, I mean, playing in this Pro League to see the poor results consistently, and same with Moist or whatever. Is kind of it showcased a lot that they needed to switch something. The POI changes and everything as well, and learning rotates and new POIs as well. A lot of changes, dropship changes, all that. They're not getting their comfort picks at thermal every single game. They're not getting their comfort picks at North Pad every game.
Yeah,
tons of changes. And maybe he just felt like they just weren't adapting. The Wraith wasn't good from all these different POIs that they had. There's a lot that went in, so many different changes, and we saw that that's affected a lot of different teams this split. So it wasn't just them.
A couple notes about enemy got lazy and content. It's an eye opener, but it doesn't matter if he doesn't commit 8 hours wanting to grind every day. We'll still get the same poor results. So in conclusion, I kind of made a bold statement of could Disguised be on a downward slope from this? I mean, it's really how they react, but on the flip side, they could let this light a fire in them to prove that they don't necessarily need Timmy with denial. They can still perform. It's a comfort pick, obviously, for enemy. So all signs basically on how they respond and react to this and will reignite them is really up to them.
We've now had 2 different teams kind of break up with TSM and now Disguise, both with high intensity teams. Where things are going well, it's going well, but as soon as they aren't doing as well, it's quicker to implode when that's the tension in the group is setting a certain standard. So I mean that does go to show when you're in those intense situations, yeah, it can be great, but it can also be 3 times as taxing when it's not going well.
That's a good point. And in general, a lot of really blame, to be honest, that's kind of an onus being put on design here, big time. So really all eyes on design. Can you learn from this, grow from this, adapt, show true leadership, which is your ability to kind of take feedback, have a growth mindset, which we talked about with Hal in the last podcast, and turn things around. A lot of pressure on design to do that. I mentioned in my tweet, and I stand by it, I have a lot of respect for him as a leader, as someone who's really passionate about the community, about the game, who's sometimes misunderstood because he's so passionate. And I think he takes a more intense and professional approach to this game than almost any, if not any pro. And I think he's going to be hard on himself. He's going to learn from it. I think it's going to light a fire. I'm really excited to see what this team does. I think Moist is certainly, but on the flip side, we've talked a lot about Disguised. On the Moist side, you saw in scrims today. I don't know where they placed. I think they're going to be insanely good. I think Waltzy is pissed. Like, he was tweeting a few excuses for a while about why Moist wasn't performing. I think he had some personal issues and some challenges. So obviously, that's valid. But an angry Waltzy is scary. An angry Gildersons and a motivated Gildersons is scary. And a Timmy who just has a pure love for competition, doesn't need to compete, doesn't need the money, doesn't need anything, is doing it purely out of passion. Same reason you and I competed in MLG 15, 20 years ago, is a scary team.
Yeah, I agree. I think having MT as the coach and, him pulling himself back and still being involved with the roster is going to help them. I think that's going to take a lot of pressure off him, and it's going to allow him to maybe help them with the IGLing and really help them quickly adapt to the playstyle that they want to find.
5th and 8th today. Thank you, Chrono. 5th from Cliffside, which is nuts. Certainly only can go up from here, and a couple days to prep, to put the work in. They have to go big because they haven't had a great start to Pro League. We'll talk about those Pro League results here soon. But as y'all may have heard, and as y'all have gassed up in chat, someone even said the GOAT has returned to competitive Apex. One of the greatest esports athletes, gamers of all time across multiple titles. Eric Snipedown Rona returns to competing, which I wasn't expecting. I was ready for our start a business arc, but hey, I'm okay with it. I think we can still make it work. How are you feeling about it? Break it down for me. What does it mean to you to have gotten that call today from Native and to have this opportunity? Are you all freaking in excited? Where's your head at?
Yeah, I was really excited to get the call, and honestly, I think the biggest thing for me is as soon as I got into call with the guys, they made it very clear to me that they trust me. They really want me to help out, making calls, and they know I've had a lot of success. And it was it was a breath of fresh air. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I've been getting shit on by people in the community for a long, for this past while, and kind of way too much in terms, especially with the results that I've had. It really just, it doesn't make that much sense to me. I've always not been the most insanely mechanical player in terms of movement and wall, and that was one of the things I used to get harped on at the time, but I still was dropping good numbers, and I think it feels really good to have that confidence back in my teammates. And I'm excited to get to work with the guys. I really think that we can pull something out from where we're at. We're in a decent spot. I think we have 12 something points, and we got some good overall POIs for this weekend. We got Harvester and we got Jurassic, which are some comfort picks for us. And the most success I've had in competitive Apex has been with hard zone teams. TSM, we played zone. When I was with Sweet Dreams, we played zone. When I was with Phony, we played hard zone. And I feel comfortable in that position, in that role. And I think it's just kind of fitting back into it. And we can hit a groove. Today, I'm not on my own setup. It was a little weird, just trying to get back into things. I'm exhausted. I'm not gonna lie.
We found out I've been playing on 60 frames per second for the last year in Apex Legends.
Yeah, so I didn't stream today because this guy literally, instead of playing on 240 hertz, which is what he's
still frags, by the way,
he's on 60, and I'm just getting nauseous looking at the screen. So that was interesting. But overall, I'm very happy. I think it's nice to have that confidence. I'm confident in the roster, and I'm excited to get to work. Unfortunately, I'm missing both. Like I said, missing both blocks of scrims tomorrow because I'm gonna be flying home. So that's really unlucky. But I'm excited to VOD review. I'm excited to get into it. And this weekend's gonna be challenging, of course, but I think it'll be a good time and we'll put us some good results.
Why this roster and not the other 2, 3, 4 opportunities you're pursuing and had offers for?
I think it's just a playstyle thing. It's a comfort thing. Joining a roster that I don't know any of the players, I don't know the playstyles, I don't know the role that I'm going to get into. It's a little more challenging with the time frame that was presented. So I think just right away it's an easy fit. And I also they had a roster coming up, and I told them straight up hey, I'm down to fill for this weekend. Feel it out, and I just wanted to make them have someone that they felt comfortable with picking up. If after this weekend for some reason something crazy happens and we decide, whatever. But I was happy to do a solid for some really close friends of mine as well on the Native organization that I consider people that will bend over backwards for me, and I would do the same thing for them. So I really just felt like it was convenient, but it was also players that I respect as well. And the fact that they showed me that type of respect right away, it made me instantly feel comfortable and confident in this roster.
Lots to talk about and dissect on that, but a lot of people also saying you guys will be the Vibe Squad. I pulled up.
Absolutely.
I wasn't just looking at my phone for rude reasons as he was talking. This is a live clip that I took from my cell phone of Eric mid-scrim with the team. And given the theme of this episode not being nearly as high quality as a BMIC-produced episode, bear with us, but you're going to hear the audio. Let's get ready. Do you know what part?
No, I don't.
You have no idea. Even better.
It's muted.
He's like, I'm the fish. Wow, what the fuck? That was actually acid. Oh, so.
The vibe.
We had like double sniper, and we both took a shot at a team resing me and Arcan, and we both shot at the exact same time. And he killed someone, and I killed someone. Like he got the finish, and then we both got I don't know. It was like we collided two people and basically got both kills. It was hilarious.
Was that like the scene from Scary Movie 1 or 2 where it's right, left, right, left? Oh, son. Yo, that jacket is tight. So that.
I know exactly what you're talking.
Was that what you were going for? What was that?
I don't know.
You don't know. You just
it came out. I wouldn't fucking pop the shock. I would have shotgunned a beer that moment and just downed one with bow. So.
Someone said you guys were effing dudes. You guys are so old. Shut up, crying baby child. Speaking of children, the children of the community. This is where Fallout tells it like it is sometimes. A lot of sentiment from the mob mentality, chillin' of the community saying, "Oh my God, Snipedown from McLovin. That's such a downgrade. This, and that." What do you guys say to him?
Yo, fuck you. I don't know. There was no McLovin is a good player. He just didn't want to fit with the play style. He's back on his old team, and it's just I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I think I fit really well into the slot of this roster that they're looking for. I think that's on rosters that have been zone teams. I've always been kind of extending to get a couple picks, but also played close to the team, get zones, and get points that way. And it's like I said, it's worked out well for me. So I mean, it's too early to say. It's not like they've performed that well with McLovin to begin with up to this point anyway. So it's like, what are we really talking about here? I guess we won't know until we see the results. But like I said, I'm confident.
And I don't know if it's social. I don't know if it's social media or what it is, or Twitch or clips that get people excited. I don't know what it is, but people run towards the shiny toy of the highly skilled fragger or gunner or killer who can do nasty things in close range fights, but de-emphasize the importance of matching playstyles, great comms, being able to co-IGL alongside RKN, understanding kind of the philosophy of how they play the game, being smart, intelligence, rotations, all of these things that are not measured by statistics. And by all means, not dismissing McLovin. He's obviously a phenomenal player. He's had an amazing come up, and I'm actually excited. I think he's rejoining his Eternal AC roster, which was a team that did really, really well in pro scrims leading up to Pro League. And I think in general, it's a win for McLovin. I think it's personally a win for Native. Matching playstyles is an important thing. I think I completely agree. I do think you fit their playstyle really, really well. For those that don't know, maybe you're new to competitive Apex, Native Gaming, RKN reteaming with Rambo, longtime teammates on Torrent. They've been competing for 3-4 years, and since almost the very beginning, RKN has had a philosophy of how he runs Apex Legends, right? And it's early rotates, loot really fast, rotate fast and early, get a good position, play a Watson. Back in the day, it was Crypto. Obviously, Crypto's not in meta right now, but it kind of Watson or Controller Legend where you can scan for zone and then post up in kind of a good position towards late game, pick up kills in the late game, and get top 3, top 2, top 1 with 5 to 7 or 8 kills in late game. Is that a fair assessment? Do you think you fit that style?
Yeah, I mean, that's Cole's playstyle in a nutshell. He's going to put you in the spot. I mean, they said their biggest issue is winning the one fight that's going to get you to that spot and hold the spot. And I mean, that happened with us a couple times today. We made a couple mistakes or didn't take the fight the right way, and if we did, we would have been in a great spot to put up some good numbers. So I think it's just going to be a testing phase, and I think we're going to put in the work. I mean, I said I fly home from here tomorrow, and I'm down to hop in a call and VOD review right away. We've already talked about a lot of different situation stuff, and I think, like I said, I'm exhausted. I'm really tired, and I think my comms when we're playing together, and hopefully on Friday when we're able to scrim together again, I'm way more active because I do think that I can provide a good asset to this roster and kind of a missing piece of what they're really looking for. Because Cole said straight up, he's a very passive player, and a lot of times there's times that they need to clean areas out, and I think we learned a lot today, even though we did all right for a first day. Definitely a lot of mistakes, but I think that I can help bring that area where they're missing out on some KP, and they said they trust me. So I think I can help in that area, and he can get us to late game, which is, I think consistency is key. Look at complexity. They're a great team with, they constantly get into good zone positions, and they get a lot of picks with snipers, and I think that might be a certain type of play style that we adapt. It's just something that we have to figure out.
Yep. I agree with that. Watching today just behind your shoulder, and those who watch the stream, I think that first or maybe second game, Skyhook Northeast finish, you guys had a really, really solid position. That game, you got fifth with 1 or 2 kills you got to pick on the way, and a few kills. Yeah, and then Moist made a good play, dropped on y'all. You guys didn't see it. You recognize your mistake, but that game you easily could have gotten second or first place. Showed some good things. I think winning that one fight to get you to that God spot is going to be the key. You called that out perfectly. I know Rambo went down early a few times. You went down early once or twice, and obviously you haven't touched the game in a week. And obviously I've been here for the week, so really excited to see what y'all can do with some practice this weekend and throughout the whole pro league. I love the pickup for vibes. A highly entertaining team of just mature dudes who contribute a lot to Apex Legends and as leaders of the community. I think Rambo still got it as a fragger and a gunner. And I'm really, really excited to see what you guys can do. Shout, by the way, to Gandalf. I saw who posted in chat saying, shout out from the Competitive Apex Reddit. Thank you guys for what you do with the podcast. We really appreciate it. Hope you guys don't lose consistency with Snipe now joining Native. Wishing you the best on Native. Anything you could say to address that? Or are we going to keep this thing rolling? Podcast?
I feel like I just hardcore spaced out.
No worries.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
He says, I hope you guys don't stop the cadence of the podcast with you joining Native. Anything you got to say in response?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I'm on board with this. Dude,
oh, you're tired. I get it.
I love this podcast.
That's
I think it's a very important thing for the space. And I think that, we bring a very good dynamic. We talk about a lot of important pieces. And I think that this is a space where we have a lot of young people that are looking to, that could, learn a lot from us in this podcast. And we bring a very mature take as well as a very objective take in a lot of these situations. I'm not here picking sides. I'm just talking about from my experience. And a lot of these people, barely competed. New game is the first game that a lot of them have competed in, and there's a lot of tough lessons you got to learn early on. And I've always, I've always said I love to teach, and if I can help one person out, 2 people, 5 people, 100 people like that, then that's creating a positive impact, and someone else might be able to pass that type of knowledge on if they do learn to someone else. And I think that it stems from there. And I'm excited to continue with the podcast regardless of results. I think it's important. It's an important piece to Apex, and a lot of people have loved it so far.
TLDR, we're keeping this train rolling, baby. We ain't stopping. Love you guys. Thank you for the support for the podcast. And on top of that, Native fucking Gaming, consisting of Snipedown, one of the most legendary names in esports, Rambo, one of the most entertaining and handsome dudes in esports, and RKN, best meme tweeter of all time. Highly entertaining squad. Shows support for Native Gaming. Excited to see what you guys can do this year. It's going to be a fun roster. And I think, again, the 3 of y'all fit play style really, really well. It's going to be a fun journey to watch. That's a wrap on that conversation, on the Disguise conversation, roster mania only. Let us know your thoughts in chat on all of the above. And, of course, in comments on YouTube or Spotify. Are there comments on Spotify? I don't know. But I don't think there are. After Hours is going to keep rolling. And Roster Mania has obviously been a continuation of craziness. Speaking of Roster Mania, let's recap and kind of wrap up here in just a moment, because this guy does certainly need some sleep. We got some flights to catch tomorrow. Walking through some of the European changes here, you'll see on screen Navi with some roster changes. Tyler FPS no longer on Navi as of Monday, aka yesterday. Tyler joins Eternal, who performed in the last Pro League, and I'm not sure who Navi has picked up yet. If any, Henchman. I don't know Henchman.
I'm not familiar with it.
I don't know Henchman. Interesting pickup. Up and comer, perhaps. A couple other changes you guys see here. Shot to Thorfinn. Got a lot of respect for Thorfinn. That was way back when. Switching over to North America, and you'll see the changes. It was a busy week. Timmy joins, not Moist, a.k.a. Moist. Draugr, the coach, you guys mentioned earlier, joins, not Moist. Snipedown added to Native Gaming. That's a sexy one. McLovin added to Eternal EC, also a sexy one. That's going to be a fun roster to watch. And again, I think that's a win. That's just another scenario where I think it's a win for Native. You fit their playstyle. I think it's a win for Eternal EC. Yeah, I think it's a win-win for both squads. James Fearless joins NGNL Esports, and you'll see some other changes throughout, including Zanile joining Disguised. We'll keep rolling here. Stats leaders in ALGS, courtesy of ApexLegendsStatus.com. Shout out to ApexLegendsStatus.com. Great intel. You'll see Falcon behind Complexity's Lou.
Honestly, man, good for you.
Agreed.
Good for you, Lou.
Yeah, a little behind in damage dealt, but man, my man's putting up.
Hey, Do you know that he had 7K damage yesterday? Or like last
one series?
7K damage in one series. 20 kills, 7K damage.
Insane.
That's one of the most impressive stat lines I've seen in like any week of Pro League.
Jesus Christ.
And they're in with one less game because he didn't play a single game. He had to just like sit out a game.
Yeah, that's bonkers.
So
yeah, that's a good point.
It's impressive.
Yeah, Nano's put up numbers too. I feel like Nano's slept out a little bit. He had the clip. It was him with the 1v3.
Yeah,
right?
1v3 on LG.
1v3 on LG. I think he slept out a little bit. Nano put up numbers as well, right behind Falcon. Of course, Verhul still putting on for TSM. Madness also, I feel like sometimes slept out, but very hot and cold. When he's on, he's on. He's won multiple championships with Skirt, his fast team, and a couple others. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Madness and all that he does. And then, of course, some of the SSG God Squad boys, your best friend Phony, and a couple of the names you'll see down here. A couple updates for y'all in case you missed it. I'm sure you'd be living under a rock, but the Pro League day while we were in Chicago at Joy District getting blasted. No, I'm just kidding. TSM did win. I'm not. TSM in first place. A much-needed win for TSM after a slow start to Pro League. Performing well. Complexity, a much-needed third place from them. Furia with a second-place curse. Really, really performing. So some big names. Luminosity right behind them. Some big names in the top four here. Skidmark, your former team that you played for EWC qualifiers with, also performing. You think this team has what it takes to make it to qual?
I think it's going to be a challenge for them, but I mean, I think they're good enough to consistently make it. I think they'll probably end up in like the 8 to 12 range. So I do think that they should make LAN at this point. I think they're going to be consistent enough throughout Pro League.
Facts. NGNL Esports, I'd like to see it, and I think NGNL was the roster that Jacob Fearless. I wonder if he's a sub. Or we'll see if Wikipedia gets updated. I'm not sure if I was added as their fourth sub or if he's added to the roster. I actually don't know. The fresh off the press news. Switching on over, last but not least, to covering EMEA, showing some love to Europe. Falloutt, much needed first place win as well. So it's actually kind of cool to see the teams that were backs against the wall needed to perform after not doing great the first start of Pro League. Falloutt was included, especially Nasky with the roster change.
He did say that placement would never happen again to come out the next week and get first place. That's what he does, I guess.
And there you had it. You saw some roster changes for Team Passion as well. They placed third. Interesting things happening in the EMEA side of things. And with that, we'll come back to us here. We'll wrap up with final thoughts and another thank you, of course, to everybody for watching. But Snipedown, bring us home. Any final thoughts you have to share as we wrap up?
Honestly, not too much. I mean, I kind of wish we would have been able to do a podcast for you guys this weekend, but it was a very important weekend for us. And this upcoming week, John will not be available, so I'm going to try and find a possible co-host and maybe get Pete back on the broadcast and then get some special guests up for us. So definitely want to have a running show for you guys. I think this weekend's going to be important. We could talk about my team's placing, talk about a little bit of that, and then just talk about a lot of the team changes and see how the teams do, like Disguise and Moist. I think those are going to be, it's going to be very interesting to see how those roll out. This Pro League is honestly one of the most interesting Pro Leagues I think we have ever had up to this point. A lot of chaos, a lot of team changes, new meta completely. So we'll see if this is a one-off type thing or if this is an outlier a one-off outlier, or if this is going to be kind of consistent, because there's a lot of teams that are sneaking up there towards the LAN placements that have never been before. So I'll be curious to see the results at the halfway point.
Yeah, I see people in chat agreeing. This is the best split so far. The stories are insane. And absolutely, the roster mania is made for probably the best split we've ever had in LGS, at least in North America. So I have to agree with that. It's going a lot to cover, and hopefully we'll have a chance to continue running a show this weekend. One just quick note as we talk about kind of health of the podcast and, the conversations that Snipe have been having this weekend to try and see if we can give some legs and longevity to this. We mentioned last time we have not made $1 off this podcast, but we obviously wanted, pay our team for fair work. So with that said, excited to share at least a teaser. We'll likely be launching a Patreon either during this weekend show or soon. And we're going to try as hard as we can to really provide amazing kind of behind the scenes or additional content for that Patreon. If you guys want to support the podcast, the show, and give us a chance to pay the team for the amazing work that they do. And, obviously it's a lot to produce these shows, the graphics, the assets, the run of show, bringing pros on, all in the name. And the only reason we do this, guys, genuinely is to provide great content to y'all. Obviously, even myself, no longer casting LGS to be able to make content like this was a big leap, and is something that I think I'm passionate about. We need more content like this, more coverage for the Apex community to grow, to let players and tell their stories and show their brands and grow their brands. So all that to say is we want to keep this running. Any support would absolutely mean the world. We'll keep you guys updated on the Patreon. If someone had an OnlyFans, is that what you're laughing at?
Laughing at Dean in the
So then I guess he says start.
Just do shirtless Eric picks, and I'll fund it for the next year.
That'll also do the trick. That'll also do it. That or the Patreon. We'll decide how we want to fund this. But with that said, many thanks for any support, subscribing on YouTube, following us on Spotify, and supporting or engaging with any of our tweets goes a long way. We're trying to see if we can, get some sponsors here to keep this thing going. Big thank you to everyone for watching and for all the support. We'll keep this rolling. Thanks so much, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the podcast and the quick mini episode live from Chicago show. Again, this guy's exhausted after a long scrim block and a long weekend, so we're going to wrap up a bit early today. On behalf of ourselves, I'm Fallout. This is Snipedown, Chrono Creative, Beamic, Bella, and the entire team here at Apex After Hours.